So we are with Calgary and Amanda Forbis and Wendy Tilby. Welcome. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Have I said it correctly? Amanda Forbis and Wendy Tilby or Wendy Tilby?
Tilby.
Tilby, perfect, like in
That's
Spanish,
right.
because I didn't know us. It's Tilby. You're currently at Calgary, aren't you?
Yes,
That's right.
And you were born in Calgary.
I was Amanda. I was born
You
in Calgary.
you were born in Calgary,
Yeah,
but you met each other maybe in Vancouver.
That's right. We met at art school at the Emily Carr College of Art, as it was known then, in the mid 80s. We
Hmm.
met there and we started working together several years later in Montreal in about 1995.
Hmm. And what happened that at the beginning you were making your films, each one of you, with the NFB or any other films, but until 1999 you didn't make a film with each other.
we started working together in 1995 on When the
Yeah,
Day Breaks. So that,
1995.
yeah. So before
Yeah.
that,
So
we had,
when the day breaks took 4 years to be completed.
yes,
How did it happen?
The collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I had moved to Montreal in 1987 to make a film called Strings, and Amanda was working at the National Film Board in Vancouver.
Hmm.
And I started When the Day Breaks, and I was exploring new techniques. I didn't want to work solo under the camera anymore. And we knew that we were very simpatico, to work together.
Hmm.
And I felt like I wanted an infusion of inspiration and help. And I invited Amanda to come to Montreal and collaborate, and we did. And the result was When the Day Breaks. And so then we've continued to work ever since. We work on all sorts of things. We made the film Wildlife. We've done a lot of commercial work together.
Hmm.
And then now The Flying Sailor.
Hmm. It's not a bad result because, well, all of your films have been nominated for the Oscars, but me as well, Cannes Film Festival kind of lover or not, I don't know if I love Cannes and I've been there 10 years. Uh, you, you won the Palme d'Or for short film.
we did. We were very, very surprised by that. We had finished production a few months earlier, and we'd had this terrible flu. We both got really, really sick,
Oh.
and we were still kind of just we hadn't readjusted to life post film, and we went to
Mhm.
Cannes and were just absolutely amazed when we
I
won.
think it was its first public
It
screening, its
was,
first festival. So
yeah,
we were completely bowled over by that.
yeah, because we didn't know
Yeah,
what to expect at the
yeah.
time. So that was quite something. And as for whether one loves Cannes or not, it's certainly an interesting ride
It
going to
doesn't
Cannes.
matter.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter if you
yeah,
love it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of difficult because you're competing there with live action films, which, well, usually are better considered, let's say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, usually animation, they think it's going to be cute and that nobody
Yeah.
takes it
Oh, okay.
seriously. And yeah,
How did you, because how did you work on the project? Because all your projects are like classic animation. How do you create your drawings?
Depends which film you're talking about. If you
it
talking, are you
does.
talking
In
about
this
when?
case, we're beginning when the day breaks,
Well,
and
that
then we'll go
film,
to the others. Yes.
yeah, okay. When the Day Breaks was interesting. It was the first time we had worked together,
Hmm.
and there was a bit of time, as I mentioned, where I had spent developing various techniques and
Yeah.
figure out how to do it. Um, I, we've we've always been both of us like to paint, so I think our films have always been very textural.
Mhm. Yeah.
The idea with When the Day Breaks was inspired by, I mean, the technique idea. It was inspired by a video printer, which was a little machine that somebody in the film board had been using,
Mhm.
and it's a medical imaging thing. It's just really like fax paper coming out of a small box where you can capture images from video. And so
Uh-huh.
we shot our film on video. We shot action on video, kind of using ourselves as actors or friends, and
Mhm.
then we would print out selected frames from that, and we turned them into the animals that are the characters. We printed those out on paper, and then we painted on that using oil stick and pencil, and we painted out all the information we didn't want, and we added information that we did, like for example the ears and the
Mhm.
noses of the animals, um, extra details. And we loved it because these photographic images were very textural, and it gave us something to react to. And it was, in a way, almost like a drawing on film technique. It was the registration was very loose in a way. We were only referring to what the image on the photographic paper gave us. And so it was kind of fun, and
It was
we
fun, yeah.
both did everything. We both drew, we both painted,
Mhm.
and storyboarded, and it was a very organic process.
We should say too that at that point, it's hard to imagine now, but it was very
Yeah.
difficult to capture single frames of video, and so
Ah, they were
yeah. What's that?
interlaced because of the interlacing.
Because of the
Oh,
interlacing,
mhm.
but yeah, exactly. So with a conventional VCR, you couldn't pause
Mm.
without the image falling
Mm.
apart. And so we had this professional VCR that would give you a beautiful frame by frame image, and then printing them out was again a different matter. And so that's where the printer, the video printer, came in to use. Was that we, for the first time in
Mhm.
our experience of technology, we
Mhm.
were able to print out single
Mhm.
frame in a sequence.
And this was entirely before computer,
Yeah.
so none of this was done on the computer.
Yeah.
Although we did edit the film on the computer,
Mhm.
and that was really the first time we'd ever done that.
Yeah. And what about then with wildlife, your second film? How do you choose the projects? Because they take a lot of time. Because animation usually takes a lot of time, and you draw, you do it yourselves. How did you decide to do wildlife?
Wildlife was very difficult to decide on the look because it
Mm-hmm.
was right at the point when compute you were able to start creating interesting images with the computer, and we were
Mm-hmm.
at that point also not used to the amount of options it provided you. So we were kind of
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed by options. And so after lots and lots of experimentation of combining different computer styles and textures and all that kind of stuff, we went back to paint because we felt the most satisfied with the look of real paint, which we wouldn't do now, but I think then it was a legitimate decision to get just that little bit of randomness in the look, the kind of looseness of paint. Um, so
Yeah.
that one we did that. That was traditional animation without any kind of live action reference. So
Mm-hmm.
we animated on Flash, and then we printed them all out, and then we painted them with gouache and put them back in the computer, cut them away from their live action, or pardon me, their paper backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
and composited them. So that was a very labor intensive technique.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a
Mm-hmm.
We,
dog.
He also works.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we make her work
it's
all the
our
time.
assistant is
Yeah,
asking for something.
demanding assistant. Yeah,
Oh yes, it's important to have a good assistant, of course.
it's very important.
Yeah.
Do you keep on working the same way you did with the first film? That you all share the work. You don't divide the work like you do this, you do that.
No, we shared the work. Wendy did more of the chicken
Yeah.
on When the Day Breaks, and I did more of the pig. But we
Hmm.
both did everything, and it was important for us to do that because the images took a long time to paint.
Yeah.
Some of those images,
Oh.
the most detailed ones would take about 2 hours a piece, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Hmm.
easy ones would be, if we were really lucky, we could get away with
Yeah.
15 minutes of painting.
Hmm.
So it was a lot of painting. We both had to do it.
Hmm.
In
Why
wild,
that division between pink and sorry, between pigs and chickens? And I think you were going to say something.
oh, well, I was just going to say on wildlife. Um, I would say, well, Amanda did more of the painting because she's a better painter
She always says
with
that.
gouache. I mean, certainly
Hmm.
the watercolor medium is different from the oil stick, and
Hmm.
she's very good at that.
Hmm.
Um, so I did a lot of other tasks, and I sort of gravitated more towards editing and
Hmm.
uh, the and some sound work and that sort of thing in wildlife. And I think with the flying sailor too, we sort of we now move more into what we're good at. We cater to our own strengths and weaknesses now, rather than both of us doing everything.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so it depends on each project, and yes, taking advantage of what you do best, be it pigs, chickens, or editing, or whatever it takes, isn't it? Okay, so we come to the well. I think you first heard about the story of the flying sailor. You know, when I first heard about the title, I thought it was related with the opera with the Flying Dutchman,
Oh
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah,
sure.
but
yeah.
Yeah.
no, there was a real flying sailor, and you heard about it like 20 years ago, and 20 years after, you decide to do a short film about it. Why?
Well, as soon as we came up with the idea, which was pretty much when we first heard of it, we just thought, what would that trip have been like for him? What would it have been
Yeah.
like to be flying over a an exploding city? It's a pretty compelling image,
Hmm.
and we always knew we wanted to make it from that point. It's just that other things got in the way until about 16 years later.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
just
We got to let the dog out. Sorry.
sorry.
Get out of here. Sorry about
Sorry
that.
about that.
No worries. Now it's better for for the dog, isn't it?
Yes, until
Yeah.
she wants to come back in again, which will
Yeah.
be soon.
Yeah. You were telling that 16 years after, then you made the film, and but it took some transformations of the original story, what originally happened, because originally the character was like 20 years old. Now he's grown. He's big, a little big, bigger. Why this changes, and how did you get into that? As you said, fascinating travel he had to live.
Well, the we took a lot of liberties with the real story. In fact, so
Hmm.
so little is known about the real story.
Yeah.
Really, there's just a paragraph or two in the history books about him.
Hmm.
Really, all that is known is that he was on the docks when the ship blew up,
Hmm.
and that he was launched by the blast, and that he was found, or he uh, came to consciousness 2 kilometers away, and he was naked except for one or two boots. We're not sure. And so we knew that though those were what is known about the event, our story really is about everything in between. It's about what was going on for him
Yeah.
in that flight. And so we knew that we could completely make it up. Um, but we did take some liberties. We took some liberties with the geography of Halifax,
Hmm.
and how we made our city looks a little different. And we also made, as you mentioned, we made the sailor older and bigger than he probably was. Sailors
Hmm.
uh, in World War One were generally, well, this guy really was 20 or
Yeah.
21 years old, and probably skinny, but we just wanted to have more fun with the character. And we thought he
Hmm.
was more interesting as an older, a little bit world weary, and it was more fun for us to imagine him in this kind of mid-air ballet and having these graceful movements that were actually kind of fearful and panicky in
Mm.
reality. But when we slowed them down, we wanted there to be a poignancy to it. And it was just more interesting if he didn't look like a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
And so we had some fun with his character, and we were
Mhm.
trying to walk a line between some humor in the story,
Yeah.
although we want to be respectful of the situation, which is tragic and quite devastating. That the
Yeah.
explosion really was a terrible event.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
also the real guy, his name was Charles Mayers.
Hmm.
He was also a first officer, so he was not just a sort of a common sailor,
Oh.
but we
Oh, I
we
thought he was
we
a third officer.
third. Oh, was he third? Oh,
Yeah,
he was an
yeah.
officer anyway. But
Hmm.
so he would have been probably a young man on the way up, and we just didn't want that kind of complexity. We wanted an iconic sailor,
Hmm.
and then we also liked the way that if you just made him a sailor and you made him middle aged, if you know anything about sailors, he should
Hmm.
have at that point in his career been higher up. So I liked
Hmm.
at a higher rank. So we kind of liked the idea of him being not a really good sailor, not a not a man with ambitions or success. We liked him being a little bit, as Wendy said, world weary and maybe not quite the man he should be, or whatever. We just like that little bit of roughness about him.
But we know he likes to drink and fight
Right. And
Yeah.
smoke.
and smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's clear. That's clear, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and then, well, you must choose very well, very carefully your projects, because with your third project is your third nomination for the Oscars. Is there anything we can do to support you, to wave the Canadian flag, or what can we do?
Well, you're doing it right now. This is very nice of you. You're taking an interest and you're talking about the film. We love that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what we want is for people to appreciate it,
Yeah.
because these films that take a long time, and you get very
Sure.
cloistered making them. It's a very inward pursuit, and although a few people like our producer and other NFB people might see it,
Mhm.
we don't know if it will resonate with audiences until it's shown. So that's always a big thing for us. So the first few festivals that a film goes to are very difficult. You feel very
Yeah.
vulnerable,
Yeah.
and it's very gratifying for it to have gone to festivals and for us to be in audiences in a theater with real people who are responding to it. That's really what it's all about.
That really is. The whole Oscar thing is strange and disorienting, and you're not sure how much it's based on merit and how much of it is hoopla, and
Mhm.
it's really fun, but it's disorienting, and it's the reason we do it really is for the audience response. We have to remind ourselves when we're in this Oscar hysteria why it is we make films.
Sure, sure. And you've already been at Sundance, which is also, well, the film has been shown at the most prestigious festivals, beginning with Annecy, which is the top festival for animation films. But you've already won at Sundance, and well, with all these awards you received, with all these nominations, hasn't someone at Pixar, Disney, whatever big company called you to say, come to California to do films? Or
In a word, no.
no?
Nobody has called. Um, but what we do, what Amanda and I do, is very different from what the bigger companies do, even when they're
Yeah.
making short films, because the way we work together is hard to describe, but we like it when it's just the two of us. I mean, we had some
Yeah.
fabulous help on this. We worked with
Mhm.
another animator. We worked with a Maya artist and somebody who helped with the after effects. But mostly, for the lion's share of it, it was Amanda and I doing most of it. And that's the way we like it. And that way we can try things, we can change our mind, we can talk about things, we work very intuitively. And if you work in a studio, you have to go through the steps. You do the storyboard, it goes through many layers of that, and then it's execution. And it's a very linear process, and we don't work that way.
But it's even, we're not very good at bossing people around. We don't.
Yeah.
We often joke about when we need to be demanding with somebody. We joke about channeling our inner James Cameron, because we always feel that there's a guy
Yeah.
has no difficulty getting what he wants from people, and I'm sure that he would feel quite comfortable backtracking, changing his mind, changing everything in the middle of the night with people freezing in cold water or whatever crazy things he gets up to, and it wouldn't bother him. But we always feel guilty and responsible, and like we're disappointing people, and so it's a lot easier for us to just do it ourselves and frustrate and disappoint each other.
But also the techniques that we use tend to be sort of very textural and painterly, and it's not always easy to find a team of people who can do that and make it all look like it belongs in the same film. So the process would have to be streamlined a lot. And so in any case, we're very fortunate. We've had the National Film Board as our producer, and they support the auteur way of making films, which is what we do, where you can let techniques evolve, and that suits our personalities. It suits our talents, really, what we're good at, because neither of us is a trained animator.
We've had a little
bit, but we're not. We could never be hired by Disney to animate.
Oh no, they'd throw us out.
We don't have those skills. I mean, we can animate, but it's our own way.
Okay,
but of course we don't want to animate that way anyway. We don't.
Yes.
There tends to be a kind of a rote way of showing emotions, or a smile looks like this, an incredulous looks like that, and we just don't. We like to feel our way into it by more intuitive means.
Yeah, it can be seen and it can be appreciated. You're more linked to the artist, like the dream of the beginning of cinema, when there was like filmmaking would be like having a pencil and using it for filmmaking, and that's what in reality you do. So film guys, if you're listening to this, sorry, but look other way for your next animators. But
thank you.
Anyway, if I don't know, companies like United Airlines or any other company, they can hire you for doing commercials. United Airlines commercial was nominated for an Emmy, wasn't it? And you've done lots of commercials, logos, animations. How do you enjoy this process? Because I think that's what you do when you're not earning awards, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. We've done a lot of commercial work, and the process is always that we make a film, and then an ad agency is obviously casting around for ideas, and they like something they've seen in our film, and they hire us for an ad campaign. So for When the Day Breaks, it was the United campaign, and then the one you've got on the screen now, Suntory, that strangely arose from wildlife, which we did not see coming. And then there are other ones, like the ones you're looking at right now, the General Motors ones. They were things where we were able to choose our own style, where an ad agency had enough faith in us to let us design something for the occasion.
We love to do something really simple, as a contrast to what we do in our films, which is complicated. So the General Motors was just very graphic, and that's fun, because we like to do that too, with no texture, no paint, and so we've done a really wide range of stuff. And what's great about commercials is that they're short-lived; they don't go on for years, and we can expand our technical skills a bit.
Yeah.
We work to very tight deadlines. It's good for us to do that, to prove that we can do that to ourselves. And it's in a way it's nice to sometimes work on an ad because we are answering to the needs of an ad agency and their client. So
Mhm.
we're not really the boss. It's not really our vision. I mean, we're interpreting their vision and we're adding to it. But there's a certain relief in that it takes a little bit of the pressure off us. But then we're always happy to go back to our own work because really that's more deeply gratifying
Yeah.
is to make our own films. But so to go back and forth is actually ideal for us. We're always happy to do some ads, but the commercial world is changing. We don't television doesn't exist the way it used to.
Mhm.
So we don't quite know yet what that landscape looks like now. We'll see.
And
Yeah.
we're not sure that the aesthetic matches our aesthetic anymore. It's changing quite a bit. Usually they're looking for, the freshest, newest looks.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure we're producing those anymore. I'm not sure that's
Yeah.
quite our scene. We don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, meanwhile, we can enjoy what you've done and at tilbyforbis.com. That's the website we are seeing
Right.
right now, where you have, well, images, films, commercials. Even there was like a ballet, Alberta
Mhm.
ballet, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we did projections for them. That was really fun, really, really stressful, really fun. Wonderful to be part of a big ensemble of really, really talented people. Orchestra, dancers, choreographer. This is just theater is a glorious experience.
Yes, looks absolutely amazing. We are finishing now, but before knowing about your next project, who knows? I hope it doesn't take you 20 years more to do, or 50, or whatever. Let's see. Do you know why are there so many Canadian animators? Is because of Normac McLaren, because of the NFB, because we stay at home and we don't want to go out during the winter and we start drawing? What happens in Canada?
Well, we think it's really, well, I think we know this. I don't think we even think it. We know it's because of the National Film Board. It has been around since 1939, and it
Hmm.
has been supporting auteur filmmaking since
Sure.
1939. And so they set the tone early on. And when we were kids, you used to see the National Film Board films on the television and in the classroom. It was just in our drinking water practically. So
Oh,
we grew up in a culture of our own animation, and it's very inspiring. Both Wendy and I, when we were in art school, you had a genuine hope that you could do something good in art school and maybe get the chance to make a National Film Board film, and that happened for both of us. It was within reach, and that is just remarkable and something that a lot of people that just don't have that kind of hope, that kind of privilege.
of course, of course. And you know what? It's important that they have available all the films of the material. And for me, as a film lover, even film researcher, that you can see films from, well, whatever time.
Yeah.
You may see, well, I want to see what we was like in the 70s, like in the 60s, or right
Oh
now.
yeah. Oh
There is,
yeah.
well, lots of things available. That's absolutely very
Yeah,
important.
it's a gold mine,
And
really.
it's
Yeah,
all
Yeah,
yeah,
free.
yeah.
Yeah, all free.
yeah. And well, then, do you have any idea for the next film to be nominated for the Oscars, or?
Well,
Do you? Let's hear it.
yeah, we have some ideas that in between the what we're sort of running around a lot with the sailor, but
Yeah.
we do have a few things that we're um, talking about, but it's a little early to say what they are because
Mhm.
they're too tender.
Yeah.
but we, at the beginning of a project or before we start a project, we always say, okay, this one's going to be fast. We'll do this one in a year.
Mm,
It's going to be very loose and simple. And then when we start going and getting into it, it gets more and more complicated. But anyway,
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll let you know.
I think our main aim, at least this is mine, I hope it's yours, is for it not to take a decade. Maybe 5 years between this one and the next one would be a reasonable.
Hopefully sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, but time goes. But
Yeah.
5 years would be, I think that's a generous deadline for us.
yeah, but I guess that once you're working, you like to do a good, precise, very strict work, and then it takes time. If you want to do something that's good, it takes time, and you have to think about it and rethink about it, and I think that's a process.
Thank you for understanding, Antonio. A lot of people don't understand, but you do.
Thank you for believing I understand it. Anyway, congratulations for your work, for all your career, and best of lucks, not for you but for the Oscars, because it would be a push for their, I think, their prestige that you win an award. If they don't give it to you, they lose it. Anyway.
Okay.
Well, it's a we've got some stiff competition. We don't
Sure.
Have any expectations of winning an Oscar, but and
it would be nice.
It would be nice, but we've been before and we've not come home with it, and that's just fine. That would be okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your interest and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
Lovely
it.
to talk to you.
Yeah. Lovely too. Bye. See you. Bye.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.